CNN's ultra snarky and bad faith Basset Hound lookalike reporter Dana Bash gets absolutely cooked with facts by Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Now, I'm already a fan of Scott Bessent. He has what the kids call aura. He has this calm and charming demeanor while he simultaneously puts people in their place for not knowing what they're talking about. And he gives an absolute masterclass here on how to deal with somebody who has no intention of being truthful, only intentionally misrepresenting, being misleading, and taking everything out of context, which is what she does for literally every question, and he smacks her down. So make sure you guys watch this till the end. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but I think this first clip highlights perfectly the type of no-nonsense time Scott Bessent is on.
The Yale Budget Lab says the richest Americans will see their income rise by nearly 2%. The lowest earning Americans will see their income drop by 3% when factoring in cuts to Medicaid and food stamps. You argue that the benefits will really be aimed at the middle class. How does that square?
Dana, first, let's have a look at the Yale Budget Lab, because I was looking at their findings, and this week I actually went on their website. They're all ex-Biden officials, so I think we can discount everything they say. I'd encourage all your viewers to look at the composition of both the board and the staff, and it's just not right.
Democrats will pick the most hyper-partisan study to support the narrative they want to push and conveniently ignore any credible source that is contrary to what they want you to believe. It's what they've been doing for the last decade, and they still think Americans aren't privy to their cheap, ineffective strategies. He doesn't even need to highlight the details of the report that are faulty. He just has to point out to the American public that the entire board of people who drafted this report are Biden people, and the American people get it. The American people saw Democrats weaponize the entire justice system against Donald Trump. So it's within the realm of possibility that they would also weaponize an economic report about his bill to try to tank that and discredit that. Now, here she tries to disrespect him and call him stupid, and he puts her in her place.
When you say that there's going to be a lot happening over the next few days and you don't want to give me the playbook, is there a playbook?
Sure. The playbook is to apply maximum pressure. We saw that the EU was very slow in coming to the table. 3 weeks ago on a Friday morning, President Trump threatened 50% tariffs, and within a few hours, 5 of the European national leaders had called him, and Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the EU, was on the phone, and the EU is making very good progress. They were off to a slow start.
She expects him to be obligated to give her private and confidential details of upcoming trade negotiations. And when he doesn't, because obviously why would he announce these things on live television, she tries to get a gotcha moment and just assume that they have no plan. They're all stupid idiots. Does that sound like honest, objective journalism to you? And in all of the rest of the clips I'm going to show you, each one of her questions or comments carries the same kind of snarky condescension. I mean, Trump's been winning so much that the Democrats are getting so desperate to feel any kind of hope or optimism that they have to resort to these childish high school-like gimmicks. Now, she continues to engage in this bad faith conversation, being intentionally technical and misleading, trying to back Scott Bessent up into a corner and get him with the trick question. And he schools her so bad, she has nothing to say afterwards.
Only in DC is a 20% hike over 10 years, a cut. So Medicaid funding will go up 20% over the next 10 years. The people who Medicaid were designed for, the pregnant women, the disabled, and families with children under 14 will be refocused. The able-bodied Americans are not vulnerable Americans, so a work requirement or a community service requirement, that's very popular with the public, and many state programs have that now.
It might be popular, but it's not what the president promised. The president promised that there would not be changes to Medicaid benefits, and putting a work requirement is, by definition, a change to benefits.
No, there are no change in benefits. There's a change in requirements to get the benefits. And what we are doing, we are bringing back manufacturing jobs. We are bringing back working class jobs. By securing the border, we have already seen working class wages move up. So we are creating jobs. People can get off Medicaid and get a job that has good health care benefits, Dana.
In theory, that works, but
there you have it. There's your proof. Democrats just refuse to accept reality. I mean, you heard exactly how the whole plan is supposed to work. You just don't want to believe it will work. And again, that's not objective journalism. This seems more like a debate than a reporter asking questions. Well, Donald Trump technically said he wouldn't make any changes, and this is technically a change. Like, it's so disingenuous and it's really pretentious because they want to preach to Trump voters what Trump said and what Trump means. Oh, Trump said he was going to end the Russia-Ukraine war on day one, and look, it's past day one, so he's a failure. When everybody understood that he didn't mean literally day one. He just meant expeditiously. It was going to be a priority. But Democrats love to misrepresent and misunderstand what Donald Trump says because they think it gives them some cheap political points. Donald Trump said Medicaid benefits will not get cut. And as Scott Bessent pointed out, they're actually going to go up by 2% a year. What Donald Trump didn't say was all people who are abusing Medicaid, able-bodied people who were taking advantage of the system and choosing not to work, will be able to stay on Medicaid and receive benefits. He never said that, and that's the only thing he's doing. Medicaid is for vulnerable Americans, not everybody who wants it. And as he also pointed out, it's not like he's cutting people's government health care and sending them off into the wild to die. The manufacturing reshoring, which is an equally as big part of the overall agenda, will bring back these good-paying jobs that offer health care. The plan makes perfect sense. They just refuse to believe it because they're Trump deranged. They have to believe and tell themselves that it won't work because they're sick of the consistent winning. Now, this is when he stuns her by pointing out that this low bar that Democrats are setting for people is actually quite elitist and insulting.
First of all, the Republicans are not the most vocal on this. It is a group of Democrats who unfortunately seem to think that poor people are stupid. I don't think poor people are stupid. I think they have agency, and I think to have them register twice a year for these benefits, that it is not a burden. But these people who want to infantilize the poor and those who need these Medicaid benefits are alarmist.
yeah. But my impression of the Republican Party is that historically you've wanted to cut through the red tape and not create more red tape. But I do want to move on because
Well, no. But
nobody segregates people like Democrats. Nobody is more prejudiced than Democrats. They'll say voter ID laws are racist. How will poor, stupid black people possibly be able to participate in elections if they're required to have an ID? They don't even understand how racist that point is. They think they're being compassionate, but all they're admitting is they think black people are incompetent and incapable of doing the most basic things in society. They set these extremely low bars for particular groups that they perceive to be lesser than them. They're racist elitists, and it comes off in how preachy they are to people, as if they're the wisest people in the room and everybody needs to just defer to them. Don't think for yourself. We know that's too hard for you. We're college educated. We'll take care of it. And just like clockwork, Dana Bash proves him right. When Dana Bash gives him a little anecdote from her life and then decrees that that's the way it is for every single other person in America.
You know, when I talk to small business owners, both doing interviews with them and just in and around in my life interacting with them, I have not met one who has not said it's the uncertainty with the tariffs that is making it so hard for them to do business because they're kind of frozen in place. What do you say to those business owners?
Well, I'd say two things. The other thing they would probably have been telling you is it was the uncertainty around taxes. So with the one big beautiful bill, they now have great certainty on taxes.
No, they've said tariffs.
No, but let me finish. When I'm out talking to businesses, they want trade and taxes. So we have certainty on taxes now. All businesses know that they'll be getting 100% expensing for new plant and equipment. On tariffs, again, it is the 18 important trading relationships, and we're moving through those.
She's using the most anecdotal, non-substantive reason to apply motivation to every single business owner in America. Think about how arrogant you have to be to do something like that. Isn't it convenient how every small business owner who spoke to super partisan hack Dana Bash said their number one concern is exactly what Dana Bash and the rest of the Democrat mainstream media want to push as small businesses' number one concern? And when he replies, well, I've spoken to a lot who say taxes were, she jumps in and says, nope, 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 and overrides his anecdote with her anecdote. Nope, every small business owner I talked to said it's tariffs, so therefore it is tariffs. End of discussion. It shows a true lack of willingness to step out of one's echo chamber, and it's largely in part why the Democrat Party is in such shambles right now, because they refuse to hear the concerns of actual people. Now, this last clip is really cool because Scott Bessent explains to her the 4D chess that Trump is playing that will force Democrats to support his tax agenda.
One of the tax cuts that are in here are for, and the president talks about them a lot, are on tips and overtime. Mm-hmm. Those are temporary. Why not make those permanent? They're only 2025 to 2028.
This is a big part of President Trump's agenda. So, we have what I call parallel prosperity here, that Wall Street has done great. Now it's time for working Americans to do great. And this is President Trump's agenda, so we've got it in for the duration of his term. And we will see if the next administration wants to do that.
So basically, in 2028, the next Republican candidate will be able to run on, he will renew no tax on tips, he will renew no tax on overtime. But the Democrat candidate will be forced to choose. Is he going to run a Trump bad campaign, vow to repeal all the things Trump has done? Or will he likely have to support a very popular populist tax reduction on the working class? Either they'll have to support renewing no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, or they'll be forced to explain to the American people why they're giving them a substantial tax hike, all in the name of Trump did it, so it's bad. It ultimately puts the Democrats in a tight wedge between a rock and a hard place, and will benefit the Republican candidate no matter what. They'll either keep them, which will be admitting that Trump actually did some good things, which will make those people more likely to gravitate towards the Republican Party, or they won't renew them and they'll just look like a bunch of elitists who don't care about the working class. Bravo move by the Trump administration there. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this absolute takedown of Dana Bash, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.